Hello, good afternoon, everybody. We'd like to welcome you today for our Agile Disciples monthly meeting. In the next few minutes, we'll just get started. Bob will be is actually in the house, but let's just give like 3 more minutes for those that will be joining in late. Kindly bear with us. Just 3 more minutes. We get settled, and we will get started in 3 minutes. So let's kick off 6:03 CST on the dot. Thank you.
On a warm summer's evening, on a train bound for nowhere, I met up with a gambler. We were both too tired to sleep, so we took turns of staring out the window at the darkness till boredom overtook us, and he began to speak. He said, "Son, I've made a life out of reading people's faces, knowing what the cards were by the way they held their eyes. So if you don't mind my saying, I can see you're out of aces. For a taste of your whiskey, I'll give you some advice." So I handed him my bottle, and he drank down my last swallow. Then he bummed a cigarette and asked me for a light, and the night got deathly quiet, and his face lost all expression. Said, "If you're gonna play the game, boy, you gotta learn to play it right. You got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, and know when to run. You never count your money when you're sitting at the table. There'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done." Every gambler knows that the secret to surviving is knowing what to throw away, knowing what to keep. 'Cause every hand's a winner and every hand's a loser, and the best that you can hope for is to die in your sleep. And when he finished speaking, he turned back toward the window, crushed out his cigarette, faded off to sleep. And somewhere in the darkness, the gambler, he broke even. But in his final words, I found an ace that I could keep. You got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, and know when to run. You never count your money when you're sitting at the table. There'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done. You got to know when to hold 'em, when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, and know when to run. You never count your money when you're sitting at the table. There'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done. You got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, and know when to run. You never count your money when you're sitting at the table. There'll be time enough for counting when the deal.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. Hi, Chichi.
Awesome. Hi, Divine. How are you? Hey, everyone.
Very fine. And you?
Awesome. I'm doing well. I want to say thank you to everyone for joining us today. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning if you're in Africa, Nigeria. We're so glad you joined us here today. If you can, I welcome you to, and I'm sorry, my camera is blank, so it's weird me looking at a blank screen. I had issues with my computer just this minute. But we welcome you to turn on your camera, engage with us. This is a fireside chat, a question and answer session. So we will need you to engage with us as much as you can. So you're welcome to turn on your cameras. Yep, awesome. So today I'll introduce who we are, Agile Disciples, and then we'll go on for the agenda for today. So we're Agile Disciples. We're a group of coaching partnership coming together to serve our communities. And we work with, the next slide will show what or who we partner with. Divine, if you want to move to the next slide. Divine, are you there? Okay, he's probably not. But the next slide will show the coaching team, and we have some of us here.
I'm here. I think your system kissed my system, so it was acting up too.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
Well,
all right. Well, the next slide will show the coaching team, and we have some coaches here. If you want to turn on your camera, the coaches in the team, Femi, Anna, Francesca, these are the coaches we partner with to bring you educative content and mentorship every month. And I know some of us, we do have mentees that we guide through their careers. Besides this, we can't do this on our own. We partner also with mentors who have stuck with us and guided us through. It's been like 3 or 4 years now. Coach Anu, Bob Galen, who is right here today, Kemi Raji and Femo Delasi. They are our rocks, and they're the ones that give us advice and push us to the next level. And we're so glad to have them as our mentors. So today, right, we will be talking about staying relevant in a changing market. And I'm going to pass it on to Divine to just introduce this topic and get us going. Divine?
You know the beautiful thing, Chichi, before we got started, when that music was playing, know when to hold on, know when to walk away, and know when to run by Kenny Rogers, Gambler. I was like, oh my God, this is so relevant to what we're talking about today. How do you stay relevant? When do you hold on and when do you walk away? And a lot of things going on right now in the tech industry, not just, I know we have a lot of Scrum Masters here, apart from Scrum Master, Agilists, project managers, different managers, and different people in different fields here. But how do you stay relevant in a changing market, in the place we are right away? I remember during the COVID or just before the COVID, I mentor a lot of people and with the Agile Disciples too. And anytime we meet we've been meeting together, I think every Saturday for the past 3 or 2 years. I can't remember now, 4 years, I can't remember. But anytime we meet, we know that we talk about some of those we are mentoring that, oh, this person has gotten a job, this person has 2 jobs. And I go like, how do you do it? And but right now, it's as though the news has been, oh my God, this person got fired, this person got fired, these people are reducing their talents and all that. And it's so heart-wrenching and all that. And I'm like, okay, something is shifting, something is happening now, not just in the Agile space, but probably a cybersecurity analyst, probably you are a database analyst. Something is changing in the space right now. How do you stay relevant? How do you want to still stay on top of your game and be that man that everybody wants? I don't know if you guys or Chichi, if you've heard that too, but a lot of people getting laid off and a lot of people trying to stay relevant.
That has been happening to the best of us, and it's really shocking to see that the change is impacting even those with with so many years of experience. And this is why we've brought in one of the industry experts to just share what he's noticing. But before we go into that, right, can we also share, can we also share from this audience, what are you noticing in your space? What is going on in your space today? And please, you can unmute and share.
You know, while someone's hand is up, I think Pamela, go ahead. You can unmute and go ahead.
Yeah, hi. I wanted to share that I'm a product owner, not a Scrum Master, but I wanted to share the
Pamela, hold on 1 minute, please. Where did you join this meeting? Where are you from?
I'm in the US.
Where in the US?
Massachusetts.
Okay, great. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Go ahead.
Oh, hi, good evening. Yeah, so what I'm noticing in the industry is that it's becoming it's becoming more technical, and I'm actually pretty strong on the technical side, but I would advise most people to look into AI and machine learning and figure out how you can incorporate that into being a Scrum Master, business analyst, whichever one you are, or if you're a product owner like me. Coursera has some pretty good courses. There's a website called not a YouTube page called Edureka, and then Simply Learn. They have full courses completely for free. So at least to familiarize yourself with those terms, because a lot of people who are looking for Scrum jobs say they're having a hard time getting one, or if they do get one, the company wants them to have the same amount of knowledge as a developer or solutions architect, and they don't even know where to start. So just keep that in mind.
Thank you very much, Pamela.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I
Right.
would want to I will agree with that. The technical skills that is more than just being a product owner or being a Scrum Master. There's more to your work, right? So I'm actually writing an article on cross-learning, upskilling, cross-learning, reskilling, and upskilling, right? So there's a need for us to shift where we are into. We need to start moving into, learning more things rather than just sticking to what we know, right? So thanks for that contribution.
Chichi, even if you would check more, we don't even need to look too far. By the time you look at your LinkedIn, probably it's reducing now, though. You find out that on LinkedIn, you just see a lot of open to work, the green banner, which was not like that before. But I really appreciate what Pamela just said. Is there any other comment from any other person? Go ahead. Pamela, somebody just said, that's so good. Can you drop, where is it? Please, can you drop the likely course here in the chat, especially the Coursera course and the YouTube classes? Thank you, Pamela. Thanks for doing that. More comment from anyone? Just unmute. Go ahead, please.
Hello, everyone. My name is MC Moore, joining from Atlanta.
Thank you, sir. You're welcome.
I think one thing that I'm noticing is there's a lot of instability out there. That's what's going on. Different companies are doing different things, and it's really moving. It feels like the ground is shifting beneath us. And some people are finding solid ground, and some people are finding quicksand.
You want to say something?
Sorry, I was speaking on mute. I was saying that's the shift I'm noticing as well. Well, some people are finding better ground, right? Some people are struggling, and the people that are struggling, honestly, I can't say this is what they do, right? It's just been the companies are shredding people, maybe because they hired a lot during COVID, but that is really impacting us, and we're here to talk about that today. So thanks for that contribution. Can we please go ahead, Divine? What do you think?
I like what he said when he said the ground is shifting and all that. People are finding solid ground and all that. Like I'm trying to remember the name now again. Like she advised to know. I wanted to ask MC Moore, what would be your comment? What would you be your advice on this kind of situation before we start listening to about Filippo? I know your hands are up. We would come to you. Go ahead, sir.
I'll be real quick. I think the key, and the previous speaker had said it, is to deepen your technical chops. If you're a product owner, deepen that product skill set. If you're a Scrum Master, deepen your Scrum mastering skills. If you're an Agile coach, that's really the key, because companies are figuring out who are the solid players and who aren't. Unfortunately, people are in some cases being laid off in droves, and that's making it difficult in some cases for people to land again. My advice.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, Filippo, you want to say something? Go ahead, your hands are up. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm calling from Houston, Texas.
Thank you.
And yeah, my industry is actually the telecom industry. I think, just as said by a couple of us, the trend actually affects virtually every profession or designation. Like I happen to see something lately. The laying off sometimes may not really have to do with maybe your skill set. Because you see the good hands, being put off, and you're like, what measure did they use? What parameters did they use? But nevertheless, I would still say that whatever you think you can learn, that can make you to be probably better than your peer, you just have to, keep learning. But of a truth, sometimes it's really not all about what you can deliver, because you can't even tell what panacea they're using, to drop some people off their job. So that's my take.
Yeah, I really like what you said, Filippo. So in as much as we're trying to upscale and, be in that space of AI and all these things coming up, you really would not really identify exactly what is making people get laid off. We currently know that the economic environment is not conducive. And so it could be just downsizing. However, it's very critical that we try and learn, have a niche of your own. Let's learn something new. We know things are changing and they're changing pretty quick. And so if you're a Scrum Master, how can you better the process? How can you help your teams write their stories, either using AI or any other tool you have out there which can help them and can make you stand out from other Scrum Masters? So there's so many things playing around, but the bottom line is try and make yourself better. Be better than the next person, or be better than, show that you add value to the organization. Try and show them that, what, without me, this is not going to run. You need me here. And how do you do that? Just add some upscaling, and as somebody said initially, some of these courses are actually free online. Even Scrum Alliance has an introductory class for AI, which is free. So just do your research, just learn and upscale. That will really help.
I like the way you're killing it. And Uncle Bob will be here soon. I wonder how it's going to be when the fire chats really starts. Dr. Anne, your hands up.
Yeah, so I just want to add to what Dr. Francisca just said. What I want to say is visibility. We need to also be very visible. A lot of times when they doubt the value that we're providing is because they are not feeling us. So we have to step out of our comfort zone and be very visible within our organizations, because the people that are quiet, the people that are always behind the scene, they tend to perceive them not to be doing a lot. And those are the people that, even when the economy is bad or anything, they are trying to reduce headcount. Those are the people that are usually impacted first. So try to be as visible as possible, even if it's not your role and you see something within your product area or within your department or whatever you're covering. Just make yourself volunteer to do it. Just be in the face of all those guys
and they will always be seeing you, and they will begin to see you not just as a Scrum Master, but somebody that is there to help the organization to get better. And a lot of times it's going to help you not to be in the list of those people that are being laid off. Just to add to what Doctor said.
You know what, Anna?
Never mind.
I want to speak to that really quickly, right? That
Yes.
also speaks to your brand, right? Because in as much as we say we are in the workspace, you also have a brand. You also have that unique value proposition that you are given. Now, a lot of people won't say it to your face what they think about you. But like, I think in our last conversation with Uncle Bob, we talked about your brand being what people will say when you leave the room. So if you think about it, what will people say when you leave the room? That is what you are. So if you're that person that is saying that sticking to the job description in this time, then you may want to rethink your approach to work, right? We're used to training, of course, Scrum Masters do this, right? But the Scrum Masters they held onto that so much that the jobs began to be facilitating meetings. But that's not our job. Our job is more than that, right? As a product owner, your job is more. Your job reaches even to the product manager side. Your job is stakeholder management, and even more than that. Your job is a product life cycle. That's your concern. Right. So thanks for calling that out. That was a very good one.
Flores' hands are up. Pamela's been raising her hands up again. Pamela will come to you, then he will come to you. Let's listen to Flores. Flores.
Right. Hi, everyone. Good evening.
Hey.
Yeah. So I also wanted to just add that the technical area. So you're a Scrum Master, you're a product owner, you definitely need to be fully aware of the software development lifecycle. And then what particular specialization is the team you're working with, the team you're supporting. If that team is a team that's working with cloud, then you must have the basic certification in cloud technology, right? If the team is a design team, the only way your confidence and your value on the team would be, felt is if you then know about, the design process, product design process, the tools they use. So when you're in a meeting, you feel comfortable to talk, you feel comfortable to contribute, So you really, really need to think about not just the sector or industry, but then your team the specific team you're supporting. What work are they working on? Is it, are they a team that's working on digital asset management? What do you know about digital asset management? So this technical thing, we can't run away from it. Software developers are now becoming Scrum Masters. They are becoming Agile coaches. So if all you are identified as doing is setting up meetings, running Scrum events, it won't cut it. I hope that was helpful.
Thank you. Thank you, Flores. Pamela, you wanted to say something more?
Yeah, I had a couple of things that I wanted to add. In addition to what the last speaker just said, it's one of the things that helped me when I first started my Scrum job, because I started at Halliburton as a product owner, product owner / Scrum Master. And outside of that, I would always, in my spare time, because my devs were in India, so in my spare time, I would ask them to show me how to play around in the IDE environment. So I would suggest familiarizing yourself with your developers and kind of just sitting in on their meetings and getting familiar with developer jargon and asking them to show you, how to do testing and basically get one-on-one conversations with them as to what they do. And then also, again, with testing, documenting, making yourself very well-rounded. And another thing that I wanted to add was data management. That's a space that I've been in for the last 2 years, and it's in very high demand. Everything from data management to data mining to onboarding and what's it called, database structure and all that stuff. If you can familiarize yourself with that, it's actually really helpful. A lot of companies are looking for that. And that's a field that a lot of people are not going into because they don't even know it exists. You can look it up. It's just more like master data management, which is when they bring in the data and then arrange what database it goes into and all that stuff. It's what I've done, like I said, for the last 2 years. And it's actually helped me land my last couple of jobs once I familiarize myself with it. I would suggest getting familiar with data, whether it's data science, data engineering. If you add that to your skill set as a Scrum Master, it definitely sets you apart because most Scrum Masters don't even look in that direction. So that's all I wanted to add. I think I'm probably going to stay quiet from now on. Thanks.
No, don't be quiet. Don't be quiet. You're bringing a lot of stuff to the table, and this is very interesting. Thank you very much. I'm so sorry. I would, in case I don't pronounce the name. Hill. How do you pronounce your name? You could go ahead. Where did you call in from? And just go ahead and contribute.
So it's just AYO. This is I'm calling from Canada, Ontario.
Look at this guy. I told you all Indian guy, man. Like, where are you from? Hey, this is nice. Thank you. You're welcome, AY. How are you today?
Very
Thanks
well.
for calling. You wanted to say something? Go ahead.
Yes, actually, I think the last speaker, Pamela, took it out of my mind, and it was as if she was seeing what was in my head. So recently, one of the things that I did that blew me up in my organization was to start looking at data, right? Looking at how to build my skills in data analysis, right? Visualization, because the honest truth is, what we don't realize is we have access to a lot of data points. And if you can learn something as simple as Power BI, where you can actually extract data from all these data points and bring up nice visualization that people can actually really see growth and progress within your product life cycle, it adds a lot of value to you as a person, and it helps you to improve your brand, right? So I just think that aside from the soft skills, which are very core, having those technical skills will also help you to build that confidence beyond the, what we already have now. So you can start looking at data management, look at data analysis, understanding the different type of unstructured data, and you can, start exploring those data points within your environment, maybe through Jira or Azure DevOps, or maybe through ServiceNow. You can extract those data to Excel, and if you have those skills, you can develop nice visualization that you can even present to top management, and they can see your value beyond the Scrum Master or the Agile coach of today. So that's just something I wanted to add.
Awesome. Thanks for that contribution, anyway. I wouldn't have pronounced that name. I probably butchered it even worse than Divine. Okay, so do we have any other hands up to speak? No, we don't. So we're going to do a bit of pivoting here because I do not see Uncle Bob here right now, and we're trying to get in touch with him. But we're just going to keep the conversation going, and I am going to kick off with questions, right, that we had. And I believe that there's wisdom in the room. So we're going to tap into our wisdom for this conversation and move us into this event for today. So one of the things I had in mind, right, was a question around besides what's going on in the environment, right? We've talked about data, we've talked about some technical skills and all. Are we observing this pattern even in the non-technical space? Are we observing this? Because I'm thinking it can't just be only the tech jobs, right? What's happening out there? And I see Dr. Francesca, your hand is up. Did you want to join in answering the question? Please feel free.
Actually, it was not about the question. I was just suggesting that anybody on the call who has an idea about courses or classes or where people can just go and learn. They can be going ahead and putting those on the chat so people can follow along, and
Oh,
those are
I've
good
been dropping stuff in the chat the whole time.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah, I've
you.
been seeing
That's good.
Pamela do that. Thanks,
Let's
Pamela.
keep going.
Thank you.
Sorry, Chichi, that's all I had.
Sure, thank you. So the non-technical space, any thoughts about what's happening there? Or are we just tech folks in here? Okay. Well, for the non-technical space, I've noticed the same pattern, right? And I've seen a lot of people want to move into the tech space from the non-technical area. And one area that I have seen a move into recently is more of the ServiceNow area. I don't know if anyone here is a ServiceNow developer, ServiceNow admin, or BA. It's an area that I've seen a lot of people reskill into, right? So is there anyone here who's in ServiceNow or working with the ServiceNow team, or have an idea of what that space is about? I'm looking through the chats. Thanks, Pamela. No one on ServiceNow? Well, I will share a ServiceNow link there on the chats. They have free courses if you want to get familiar with it to see what it is about. There are about 3 roles there: the ServiceNow admin, ServiceNow developer, and then there's a ServiceNow business analyst, I think. I'll find that and share. They have short courses for people to hop on and learn ServiceNow. Divine?
Yeah. I was just thinking that it could just be in ServiceNow. And one other thing is this, that most of the time when we gather like this, it's always like focus could have been on Scrum Master, but it's not just about the Scrum alone. It could be maybe the IT audit, cybersecurity space, data space, and all that. And somebody told me something a long time ago, that promotion does not come as a result of what you have been told to do. It comes as a result of doing the more and doing the extra. That means you just don't want to stay in one spot. You want to be able to improve yourself and kick on. That's why I really appreciate what Pamela said. But I think I saw her drop something about there is a lot of technology being introduced in the medical space. You want to say a few things about that? And even as much as this is going on, this is very unlike Uncle Bob. Uncle Bob should have been here. And
Wait, sorry, were you asking me to contribute to that?
yeah, Uncle Bob is here. Hey, thank you, Lord Jesus. That was actually natural.
It was coming. Yeah,
Because
please,
I'll
Pamela,
tell you
go
something.
ahead. Pamela was
You know
gonna
what?
something.
All right, Pamela, you're going to be the one to handle this stuff today.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
We hear you well, Uncle Bob. Good to have you in our midst.
We can hear you.
I'm sorry, everyone. I had a bit of an emergency with my wife, and no, it's okay. I just had to deal with that. So I'm here, and I apologize to everyone for being late and not contacting you. I was just too busy.
So glad to have you.
Yes, we're so glad you're here, Uncle Bob. And just so that everyone knows who you are, or let me just do a brief rundown of what we've talked about, if that's okay, right?
That's fine. I'm late, so I'll do whatever you want me to do.
All right. So we've just been sharing about our experiences with the job space. There are a lot of people who have, said that there is a shift in the job market. The people are either finding more ground, so some are sinking. But we've had a lot of people here share very brilliant ideas of ways that we can reskill or upskill and move into different spaces and and also build a personal brand as well. So it's been around that, and it looks like
Okay.
the room agrees with, the whole change in the atmosphere. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me just go ahead and introduce our guest speaker. So let's welcome our esteemed guest speaker, Bob Galen. But please be warned that we've given him a special nickname around here. You may know him professionally as Bob Galen, but in this room, we call him Uncle Bob because of his warm, wise, and witty approach to agile coaching and his involvement in the agile space. With over 2 decades of experience in agile space, Uncle Bob has been a pioneer in guiding companies and teams towards a more adaptive and resilient way of working. As a director of agile practice of Synergy Technology and president of and head coach at Agile Moves, Uncle Bob has helped numerous organizations navigate their transformations with ease. And his expertise is unparalleled. So, and his passion is really, really contagious. That's why he's one of our mentors, yeah. So get ready, guys, and be inspired as we learn from one of the industry's best. So drum roll.
All right. Thank you. I don't deserve that. But so where do you want to go? I heard that it sounds like people are talking about, what's next and making some adjustments and things like that.
Yeah.
I may start for a few minutes and then people can ask me questions if you want to queue them up.
Well, Uncle Bob, the funniest thing is there was actually there are some questions that came in even before the event started, and one of the questions we just give you a little bit into it the last time we spoke is based on your experience in your career, the marketplace. What are some of the most significant market shift or disruption you have witnessed, and how did you adopt your strategies to remain relevant during those times? So that's just to, and the stage is all yours, Uncle Bob.
Oh, no, I appreciate that. I mean, I don't think there's a magical, I think one of the keys for me personally is I'm very reflective. So one of the things that I do is I reflect a lot. So I'm curious about myself. I'm curious about my skills, and I'm curious about how am I showing up. And I try to continuously develop myself. And I know everyone says that in the agile space. Everyone says agile's about continuous learning and continuous, discovery. But I think doing it is harder, and doing it for a long time. And I'm wired that way, and I think it's shown me a good service because, like you said, the markets are shifting, technology is shifting, markets are shifting, agile is shifting, and we have to shift with it. So you can't be complacent no matter how hard you want to be complacent, or if you think you know everything. And I don't mean you're full of yourself, but if you think, oh, I've achieved a certification in coaching and now I'm going to take a break for 3 years or 4 years and just sort of ride on my current experience, I think you're getting obsolete a little bit. So it's a challenge. Depending on where you're at in your life, you may have children, you have a lot of activities, but you have to invest in yourself. So that, I think that's a key to me. I think another thing is just having optimism and not being swayed. Right now, there's a lot of negative energy in the agile. A lot of people are predicting the demise of Scrum Masters and the demise of agile coaches, and almost the demise of agile. Agile shifting, it's becoming business agility or something like that. And I do agree that things are disrupting. There's economic pressure in technology, not just in agile, and there's change pressure. But I don't think it's dire. I think AI is another pressure element. Is something that I think a lot about. Is like, what is AI going to do? And I keep coming back to, if we as humans develop ourselves and we focus on ourselves and we have confidence in ourselves and we develop our networks and we develop our community and we give it back right? It's not just takers, but givers, that things will be okay. That I think good agile coaches who are developing themselves, who are humble, who have good personal attributes, will find work. I actually see coaches in my network finding it. Uh, the folks who've just gotten a certification and really aren't seriously investing, they'll have trouble. But I think the market is shifting. I think that's the thing. I think that's a key. The other thing is there's ebb and flows. I don't know if you all are aware of it. I remember in the early 2000s, there was a downturn and I was laid off. In around 2008, there was another downturn. In 2020, COVID hit, which affected a lot of businesses positively and now negatively. So I think there's a cyclical nature to things. So don't lose your faith. Like I don't know if I would say go and become I don't know, a UPS driver, or and get out of agile right away unless you really wanted to aspire to be a UPS driver. I would say try to stay the course. Don't make too many. If this is what you love doing, I think you'll find you just need to stay the course, because I think things will take an upturn. I'm already seeing an upturn in my own coaching. Now it's still challenging, etc. So I guess really walk your talk, develop yourself, realize that things are cyclical, um, and just stay the course a little bit. Might be some advice. That's what I've tried to do.
That is something you said stood out. You said the agile coaches in your community are experienced, or they're getting maybe jobs, and then they're experiencing more ground. They're gaining more ground. You mentioned curiosity. Can you speak more into what they might be doing differently that we're not seeing?
I think it's the experience, Chi. I think it's folks that continue to develop themselves. There's a lot of hubris in our community. A lack of humility. And when I say our community, I'm talking broadly. I mean, I see a lot of coaches, and I think in general there's a lot of coaches who've achieved it and aren't developing themselves. They're not humble. They're not serving the client. They're sort of self-centric to some degree, and I think I think they're going to suffer in these climates. I think the coaches that are earnest, that are skilled, not perfectly skilled, but are skilled and also developing their skills, who know what they do know and what they don't know. They're willing to admit what they don't know and then learn it. We've talked before with the disciples, we've talked about coaches going deep, finding an area where you can deeply, so for example, product coaching, find a niche where you can go deep. I think now's a time for coaches to go deep. A leadership coach, an enterprise coach, an organizational coach, a product coach, a technology coach. We've talked about that, and going leadership, going deep in an area where you have some skills, and then continuing to develop that. So what I've seen is coaches like that who can differentiate themselves, and really walk the talk. It's not a magic bullet, but I see some of them starting to get jobs, and so the market is not totally closed. What I'm trying to say is I think the good ones, I think not the perfect ones, and it's not always about years of experience or skills, but the folks who are really resolute and earnest and have the right mindset, they can find that work. The other thing is, Chi, the other key is community in LinkedIn, posting on LinkedIn, sharing with LinkedIn. I see folks. I try to recommend people in LinkedIn as much as I can. I'll repost their links and things like that. So I think a key part of it is leveraging the community network, whoever you do in your network. I think an important thing, sometimes people get lazy with managing their network. They don't connect to people, they don't reconnect to people, they don't build their network. I think that's something you should be doing. You should have done it years ago. You should be doing it now, and that'll help you to find roles and positions.
Uncle Bob, Thank you very much. And also some of the things you mentioned, Pamela and MC Moss said some of them as well. But my thought is this, sir. Is there a way where before changes come, one can anticipate or one can even um what are some of the things you see that some of the things that one needs to take note before changes take place? Because now that we're seeing the change now, we know that, and you mentioned some years ago during the layoff, mentioned different years. I'm thinking in my heart that it's possible that probably by 2028 would or thereabout we'll be experiencing the same thing too. What are the things we need to watch out for?
I don't know if it's a watch out for, Divine, but I wrote a blog post. You guys probably have heard me say that before, but I wrote a blog post once that was talking about spider sense. And what I think is sometimes people they just want to be told what's going to happen. Oh, the leadership will tell us if it's good or tell us if it's bad, or it'll be in a newsletter, it'll be in an all hands meeting, and I actually think people have to sense the landscape, not only what you're being told. In an interview, for example, don't just interview and assess the questions. Think about what they didn't ask. Think about how they reacted. What was their body language? So what I'm saying is, anyone listening right now, you want to increase your ability, what I would think of as like deep listening. Not only listen to the words in your organization, but listen to the culture. Listen to what's being said and what's not being said. You can listen to people's words, but you can also watch their behavior, if that makes sense, right? How are they behaving? Divine, I can be telling you were having the best year in the planet at our job, and then you see me getting my resume ready, right? And so my words say, don't worry, but my body language says, maybe something's happening. And what I'm trying to tell everyone, I don't want you to get paranoid, but I actually think organizations emanate a lot of information. And if you're listening, I think you can anticipate. You can anticipate how well you're doing, and you can anticipate how well your group is doing and how well the company's doing. Let's bring it down to you. You should be always listening to and asking people about your performance. I've been doing a presentation about value for coaches. How do coaches confirm their value? And part of that is having conversations to people with your stakeholders and talking to them about your value proposition, and then listening to how they respond to that. And what are they saying? And what do they appreciate? And if you dig deep and you say, well, and where are my mistakes? What do I need to improve? And if they say, oh, there's nothing, I wouldn't accept that. I would be looking for improvement ideas or something. Or maybe they've written you off. Maybe they don't think you have value. But they're not going to say that, but you're sensing the organization. So I think as humans, we need to become better. I call it radar. We need to have better radar and really reading the organization. And I think if you do that, you'll get a sense for how you're doing and how things are going. And if there's a downturn or an upturn, there's pre-indicators that are around. But we have to listen for them. And that's one thing, and maybe sharpen that skill and do that in small groups. If you have, trusted colleagues, maybe you talk about that.
Yeah. And guys, please, feel free to interject, to ask questions. Divine and I have, I think we need you to contribute to the conversation, please.
It shouldn't be about you and I, Chichi.
It's not about me and Divine.
Asking questions.
So anyone can come off mute, and it can be on any topic. And I promise I'll say I don't know the answer. I'm not going to feed you answers. If I don't know, I'll say that. So I won't blow smoke, I promise.
So,
but wait, did you answer something?
Yeah. So we spoke a lot with our in-house meeting about the value of coaching, and took that to my organization, and then we went through it as coaches to figure out what exactly the value is that we're bringing. Sometimes our value cannot be quantified with the dollar value, right? But then we were able to come up with certain areas where our value can be seen, but yet it was attached to teams delivery, right? So with that, there's some changes going on, in the organization. And that was an indicator of, hey, Chichi, you do need to start looking at where you can improve yourself. Right. So that led me to start thinking more into product coaching, product management. Right. So that was a good call out when we spoke, and doing that exercise within my organization opened my eyes to saying, hey, it's time to do something. And that curiosity kicked in at that moment.
Chichi, let me quickly ask Uncle Bob this based on what you said. Uncle Bob, now I've always known Chichi as a transformational coach. Now she's thinking of probably pivoting or getting into product coaching. And I know while we're having conversation with you, we're talking about maybe a personal brand and all that. How would you expect her to be able to brand herself into that and create that distinction with the organization?
I mean, I want to come back to what Chi-Chi was saying. It's value. As coaches, we shouldn't determine what value is. So let's forget product for a second, everyone. Like I may think that the organization wants more juice from my team. So if I'm a scrum master or coach of teams, and my perception is, they want more velocity, they want more juice from the team, and I focus on delivering that, but I haven't talked to the leaders of the stakeholders, then I'm driving the value that I think. Or I might drive Scrum Guide value, meaning, they hired me as a Scrum Master, therefore they're going to measure my value by how well I adhere to the Scrum Guide. And if I'm adhering to the Scrum Guide, that's great value. And I may be joking there, everyone, but there's some people, some Scrum Masters who think that their job is driving Scrum because that's in their name, right? I'm a Scrum Master, so I'm here to drive the principles of Scrum. So forget all it. It's not about what you think your value is. You need to go and find out what someone wants you to be doing. You need to talk to your stakeholder, your boss, your stakeholder. And if you have multiple stakeholders, and very often in Agile, coaches have multiple stakeholders, so it's a little bit challenging perhaps, but talk to them and say, what can I do to deliver value to the company? Don't use in my role. What can I do for you? What are you looking for? What are your measures? What are your OKRs? And how can I partner with you to contribute to that? And don't say Scrum or OKRs or anything. Use their language and then translate that and become a partner with them, because they're going to be determining your value. Everyone understand what I'm saying? It's not what you think it is, it's what they tell you it is. And you need to then close that loop. And after a while, then check with them. Hey, are you seeing an increment of value? Fantastic. Well, how can I improve? Oh, you know what? I'm not doing that. I'll go and I'll work on that. And then close the loop and do that. So I just want to say, don't work on what you think the value is. Even if even if it's in your job description. I've read my job description, I'm delivering. I want you to talk to the people that are judging you. I want you to talk to the people that are determining your value to the business, and I want you to deliver value to them and then confirm it, whatever that is. And probably some of you are, and some of you may not be. So there's this human to human connection with it. As far as in product brand building, the second question, I don't know. I think, Chi-Chi, what you do, one thing to do is to start pivoting into product. And if they start pulling you in, you're building your brand. So instead of saying, I want to build a product brand, I mean, think in those terms, but I would say go find opportunities to work with product as many in your company as often as you can. Rub elbows with product, help product, facilitate product discussions, look for leaders who are doing product related work. Pay them money if you can get involved in product stuff. Not much money, but a little bit of money. Whatever you can do to facilitate that. And then one of the things is you're going to start getting it if they start calling you back. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If product folks start talking to like Chi, you're a scrum master over here of a team, and you might be complaining to me, and Bob, Uncle Bob, these product people are just pulling me in all the time, and I would be like, Chi, and you're complaining about it. I'm like, don't complain. I know, and you're like, I can't do my job. All right, that's a problem, but you are now your brand is now shifting. You are being perceived as helpful to product. If they, you know what would be even better if they start asking your opinion about strategy, right? Product strategy. They start talking to you about this stuff. Oh, Chi, what do you think about this? We have this two paths that we can go in from an ROI point of view. And we're deploying this product on top of an old product, and we have some migration strategies to work out. What do you think? And so now you're starting to be looked at, for your insights, for your opinion. So you are now rebranding yourself. So what I'm saying is so the rebranding is not the activity. The activity is work with product, add value as much as you can, and then measure your value by how many pulls you're getting. And that's an indication that you're starting to rebrand yourself inside the company, if that makes sense, right? I once joined a company as a Scrum Master and an Agile coach, and they made me a CTO after like 6 months, and I didn't get hired to be a CTO. I was looking for. I had a leadership in my background, but I really just wanted to coach for a while. I needed a break, and then they convinced me to take a leadership role on, and I was, but so I almost I should have unbranded myself, but I was just having leadership discussions, and they saw that, and I think that influenced the direction. And that's just an example of what I'm talking about.
All right, thank you for that. Now, let's shift to folks who have recently lost their jobs, and trying to find their place. There's a lot of talk about job descriptions changing. There's a requirement for people to be more technical. Now, to what extent? I know you mentioned looking at your experience and falling back to your experience, but we have some people who just started in this role, right? So how do they find their balance into what technical path they should go? How can they reskill? That's one of the questions we had before you joined it.
I mean, I think it's really hard. I mean, there's reskilling, and then there's very challenging reskilling. When we talked, Chi, I was talking about if someone wants to pivot as a coach into a deeper skill area, look at your background and see, like, if you've done some product stuff or business analysis. So I'm a coach, and I've done some business analysis roles, or some story writing roles, or requirement roles, or I've had a little bit of business interactions here and there in my career. Then I can leverage some of that into pivoting into product level coaching. I have a little bit of background and stories to tell, etc. So the learning curve is not from 0 to 100. I'm starting maybe at 20 or 30. I have a baseline of learning. So I think when people are talking about pivoting, they have to look at what do they already know? How to look critically at their experience. I think it's really hard. I'm going to make an extreme case. Let's say someone is a Scrum Master and they want to become a technical coach. They want to be a developer coach, like developer technical, sort of like sort of unit testing skills and refactoring skills. So coding coaching, technical coaching, and they've done zero development experience in their background. Or someone wants to do DevOps coaching and they have zero DevOps experience in their background. I think that's too much of a leap for most folks, at least particularly if you're out of work. That's a really long leap, unless you're willing to go back to school in some way, maybe go to a coding boot camp, or something like that. But I think you have to find narrower things to jump across if you can. So look at your background and then say, how can I do that? If you're a developer, if you have a development background, then you moved into technical coaching or coaching, you can go back to that. So it's really a basis of how much is the leap. I think you can reframe and take leaps, but it's hard to take them when it's a fundamental shift. And you're going to find it. You're going to be competing in the job market with people who have more experience. So it's something you have to consider. I don't think there's, and pick a niche. When we were talking before, it's like I'm coaching and I want to be a technical coach. Well, what type of technical coach? Don't just be too broad. Be select what are you going to be coaching? You could be coaching test automation, like writing test automation. That's a technology vertical. You could be coaching coding, design, and coding, a vertical niche. You could be in the DevOps space, in the pipelining space. That's another. So I could see narrower niches in just the technical. Don't do all of those. Pick one, and then go deep in that area. So be selective with that.
Talk about Pamela. First of all, thank you very much. All your links you're sending, and those sending links, really appreciate you. Talk about MC Moore sent a question. You can throw more light into it, sir, in case this is not well communicated. He said he read one of your blog posts recently, and he wanted to know about the necessary world experience as an agile coach for the coaches out there. Could you offer ways that we can keep our skills sharp if we are not regularly working with the teams or scrum masters?
Oh, I mean, I think if you're I always recommend to any coach who's out of work, or even if you're in work, but your role has changed for some reason, you may be coaching leaders and you're not haven't coached a team for a while. So if you're in a company, again, volunteer for work outside the scope of what you're doing. So for example, if I've gotten reassigned into product coaching, like Chi-Chi, we were talking about, that would be a positive thing. I'm in product coaching. But if you find that that's isolating you and you're not getting any opportunities to sharpen your team coach skills, I might look for, can I partner with another coach somewhere to just a little bit to occasionally sharpen my skills? So you always want to be looking at growing your skills. And if you're going to let something atrophy, then do it intentionally. That's fine. You can atrophy skills but make sure it's an intentional. I don't want to do team coaching anymore. Okay, then let those skills atrophy. That's absolutely fine. And then shift over. But if you don't want to, then look for that. If you're outside and unemployed, then I'd say start looking at local groups. I know folks who do pro bono scrum mastering for like nonprofit groups. It's hard to find these opportunities, but you can look for those kinds of opportunities. I have people approach me quite often, and they're like, "Bob, can I work with you as a scrum master?" I don't have those opportunities very often, but I admire them reaching out to me. And what I usually do is I say, I don't have those, but why don't you talk to this person and this person and this person and this person? Because I think they may have something, right? You need to get out there and get involved. I love it. If you go to a church, I belong to a church. Now, I haven't done this, everyone. This is an idea. I'm just using this as an example. But I have a church and it has a governing group, and they're trying to make decisions. We had a pastor that passed away, our lead pastor passed away, and we were trying to select a new pastor. And they're really struggling with that. I mean, making a decision. And they did a survey and they're struggling. And it took them months to make a decision. I finally got an email earlier today that they finally made the decision on a new lead pastor. Do you think that an agile facilitator could have helped them? And the answer is yes. If I wasn't so swamped with my personal life and some of the things I'm dealing with, I would have offered to help them. And what's in it for me? It's not just offering it to the church. I'm working with a nonprofit. I'm working with new kinds of people. They're not technology people. it would sharpen my soul in a different way. It's different cultural dynamics, different business or organizational dynamics, and it would make me better. So again, I think you need to be curious about looking for opportunities, all focused on keeping your skills up. The other thing is there's these practice groups around, like coaching circles. Mm-hmm. There's free monthly. Get involved. Do whatever you can to keep your skills up. Anything you do is something you can twist around. You can talk about it in an interview, and you can feel more confident. The only advice I would say is, don't coach your family. I made the mistake when I was going to ORS training that I coached my family, and it wasn't a good idea. I mean, it was a good idea at the beginning, but it wasn't a good idea. So probably don't coach your family members or close family members. Not a good idea.
Well, I think I tried that as well with the practice coaching, and it didn't turn out very well. A lot of things hidden came to I'm like, okay, I should have never even tried that before.
Exactly.
Each time we get the assignment doing the Ask training, I have to find somebody to coach. I go, don't use that coaching stuff for me. But we have a question from Nimoyemi. Even though I have a question I would like to ask, probably when we have a little breather though. She wanted to know that for those who are new to the who are new to the community, given the current trajectory, what niche do you think has the highest potential for growth and stability? And Ronica, like that, seems they want to.
So the question is, what area in Agile is the best place to start? Or
well, in this, I think in this space, we have those in the Agile, those are new to probably the IT space or something. But Mimoyemi, would you want to unmute and speak more to the question?
Hello, good evening, everyone. Good evening, Divine. Good evening, Kichi. Good evening, Uncle Pop. How are you doing? Okay, so I'm new to the IT space, and I wanted to find out, for someone who is completely new, like Tableau Raz, which area do you think one should focus, energy for growth, the niche that has the highest potential for growth? I'd like to know where, because the current trajectory says maybe in another couple of years, there might be something cyclical that will happen, and then certain people will be out of jobs. But which one do you think still has a potential for growth and stability, given the recent developments and the things that have been happening over the years anyway, from your experience?
Just hold on one second.
Yes, please.
I'm online. Take those. No, there was two.
All right, so let's give that a minute. Well, Mimoyemi, what is it that you're seeing that's going to be cyclical? Okay, looks like it's that, but
okay, like talking about what Uncle Bob said earlier, that the experiences that happen in certain years, and maybe Divine also mentioned that perhaps maybe in 2028, maybe just saying, maybe certain Scrum Masters might be out of job and things like that. And he was talking about product coaching, product development as places where you can stand out. So, okay, for someone who is new, right? I
can come in. I'm sorry. I had a bit of an interruption. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
I would say before you target yourself. So I'll use my daughter. I'll use my daughter as an example. My daughter spent 20 years in social work, and she was a child social worker, and so she had nothing to do in her profession with technology. No IT, no programming, no product development. She was in child social work. She developed. She became a leader in child social work. So she did organizational training over time. She was out in the field for the first 10 years, and then she came back into corporate, and she started to do onboarding of new hires and training and certifications and things like that, organizational development. So conflict resolution skills, training skills, presentation skills. leadership skills. She was developing those skills in social work. Then she thought about pivoting to Scrum Master or to not to IT, but to a role, to an Agile role and a Scrum Master. And she didn't have any Scrum Master experience. So she had to look for a company that could see the strengths that she had, that she had developed in her career as part of her learning journey. And then she mapped them into IT. She mapped them in, so they mapped better into coaching Scrum Master roles. And now she's starting to develop her IT skills, or IT, not programming skills, but just even understanding how products are developed and how to talk to developers who are a little bit weird sometimes. I'm a developer, so developers can be a little odd. And how does she interact? They're not the same as social workers, etc. But I think what you have to do is you have to assess your skills. Don't look over here. Assess your skills. What are your strengths? And then how do they map into Agile and IT? And then the role should pop up from that. So you might find that if you're detail oriented and you like writing, maybe you pivot into a BA, a business analysis role, and you have some sort of understanding of certain domains like medical systems. So you've worked in medical systems for a while, and you're very detail oriented, and you enjoy doing that. So you need to be passionate about it. Part of your inventory is, what do you like doing? What am I good at, and what am I like doing? And then start targeting into Agile and look for opportunities. And don't look for opportunities. Oh, what's the hottest thing? I wouldn't look for the hottest thing and then try to force yourself in there. I would look for, where are my skills and what do I enjoy doing? Where's my passion? Because I want you to move into IT in an area that excites you, because then you're going to grow yourself. Then you're going to be excited. Then it's not just your skills, it's also your passion will make a difference when you go. So the first thing I would say, that do that assessment of what are my strengths and what do I want to be when I grow up and what am I passionate about, and then look for IT opportunities with friends and colleagues. And I think that'll help you target.
Thank you, sir. Mima, thanks for the question as well. Uncle Bob,
Yeah.
I read one of your articles as well, and you mentioned as a 2009, you have between 2009 and 2020, you have written over 400 articles. So I was thinking, and even after doing that, you were still able to rebrand yourself. So I have to go to the question of branding, because I know that even though Chichi could go to products and all that, because I know some of the things we mentioned that you said we're going to talk about too. So after doing all that, you were still able to brand yourself into the agile moves and all. My thought is this: what are some of the biggest challenge when it comes to building a personal brand, and can you offer practical tips in overcoming them?
Or even rebranding as well. Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, I think it's persistence is something. So what I'll say to people is, you build your brand. It's sort of what I was alluding to with Chi-Chi earlier. It's like, how do I brand myself as a product coach? And I was sort of saying, you don't. You let your work brand you. You let your results brand you. Now, as you're doing that, then you can make sure that your people are saying the right things about you, the things that you want to say. So you can maybe refocus that. So for me, I think my writing is part of my brand space, my public speaking. So you can brand yourself by public speaking, by writing. You can brand yourself inside a company by the activities that you do. You're volunteering. Are you volunteering for things? Are you myopic? I only do this, or am I broad? I do other things as well. If you're trying to pivot from coach to something, from general agile coach to a very specific agile coach, you start doing those activities and start talking about it with people, making sure that folks understand. I think finding allies is a part of it. So finding allies in your company or allies for you in the community. So Agile Disciples is an ally of mine, right? I represent you, so I've talked to other people about your brand, And you just talked about my brand. So we become advocates with each other, and we just develop that. And so brand building to me is something that you don't do. I don't think you do it in one session. I think you do it over time in small in branding chunks. Now, rebranding is a little bit different. Once you've established a brand, if you want to shift it, I think that's more of an abrupt action. You could talk about what we were and then what I want to become. So it's a more sort of immersed or a more condensed action, because you need to shift from people like, let's say I want to become the agile rabbit. Everyone everyone thinks I'm the agile moose. So I don't want to be a moose addict or abbot. I want to go from the agile moose to the agile rabbit. So I need a more abrupt transition. And I might need some graphics that talk about a moose front end and a rabbit hind end or something like that. And then they transform. I'm kidding, everyone. But the rebranding is something that I think you need to navigate more quickly. So there's not confusion in the market, and the why behind it. What was I as the moose, and why am I becoming the agile rabbit? What's the why behind that? What's different? And explain that. But branding in general, personal branding, I think, is an incremental activity. And the key is perseverance. You need to be on it. You need to be thinking about your brand every day. You need to be asking yourself at the end of each week. So Divine and Chi-Chi and everyone else, at the end of every Friday or Saturday, ask yourself, what did I do this week to differentiate myself in my market? What did I do? So Jeff Bezos says that your personal brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. A lot of you have heard me say this. I'll repeat it. Your personal brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. It's like, what are your advocates saying? Do they even know your name? Like if Divine's personal brand is that Scrum Master guy, he's really nice, and they don't even know his name. And I ask Divine, is that how you want to be known? And he's like, no, I want more depth and breadth, right? I want them to know my name. I want them to know what I'm passionate about. I want them to know this. Well, then Divine needs to be building that story every day. He needs to be taking actions. Maybe he needs to get into a meeting. Maybe he needs to get in front of the meeting. Maybe he needs to have a README file that talks about his background and etc. and talk about the things that he brings to the table that the company's not using, to broaden the awareness of what his capabilities are. So and ask himself every week, have I done anything this week to improve my brand? And what are people saying about me? And what do I want them to say about me? And start closing that gap. To me is personal branding.
Uncle Bob,
The more when people are making layoffs, at least in my experience, everyone, and I'm not trying to be a downer, but when executives get into a room and they lay people off, it's not always a data-driven decision. Very often it's a perception-driven decision. And it's their perception. So what I'm saying with the brand is start building your brand beyond your role. Make yourself more valuable to the organization, more nuanced to the organization. And I think you have to, the personal branding can help with retention and things like that. You want to be visible, even if it's uncomfortable. You want to be out there and creating the brand in front of folks. Go ahead.
Uncle Bob, I was just having fun. I really enjoyed this, but I wanted to just throw it out to everyone. Uncle Bob said, ask any question in case you still have, because we are rounding up in the next few minutes, just to the audience. If you have one or two more questions, we can welcome that before we say thank you to Uncle Bob for this remarkable experience. So over to you guys now.
Oh, I want to just, sorry, Uncle Bob, I want to just say something. You mentioned building a brand, right? Building a brand within your organization. If you have a job, if you're out of a job, building a brand is even more important, right? everyone wants to be able to see that unique value proposition that you bring, right? So whether it's on social media, I'm not very good at posting on LinkedIn. I'm trying better this year. But whether it's on social media or just you need to write an article, you have something to say, right? Share it out to the world. And right now, if you are listening, is networking is very important with or without a job, because it's your network that you get to build those connections, meet people, explore, get curious to see and even find out what's going on out there. So this is why I really appreciate this room, and I tap into the wisdom in this room, because it gives me, there's always something new I'm learning every time, right? So another thing that I got out of this is your transferable skills. I have a law background, and being a lawyer, it was tough to even think about transitioning years ago, but I knew that I had a passion for working with business folks, right? I had a passion for product. I wanted to see what customers were doing. I had a passion for process. When I go into a place, I'm looking at the whole systems thinking, right? I was a lawyer, but I knew that was what I had in me I could carry anywhere. So I brought that into the space today, right? So there's something that you have right now that you can transfer, right? So just wanted to reiterate and just share my experience.
Any questions from anyone? I don't bite, everyone. And again, I apologize for being late, but anything?
Wow.
I think I do have a question.
Okay. Whoever that is, please.
Okay, so talking about personal branding within an organization, right?
Right.
So this is me talking from experience. So in the organization I worked, I kind of like created that niche. Even if I was hired as a Scrum Master, I kind of created that niche as an agile coach, because I would go and coach several teams, leadership. Like I went on to do all of those, right? And then the organization went on and hired an external agile coach that they asked me to work with, because they thought I knew a lot that I could share with this new agile coach that would help them, right? So I felt a certain kind of way, because I felt I have been building this brand, I've been helping the organization, we've been implementing a lot of my ideas that have been helping us, right? At what point do you think that I should exit? Because I feel like I wasn't regarded as much. Like even if I was bringing in a lot, even if my ideas were being utilized, they were being used, they were helping us grow, but they were being taken to someone else to implement, right? So at what point do you think, okay, I feel like you should just leave and go somewhere else that you're regarded?
I mean, it depends. I don't have the context, and it depends on how you look at it. Like I could, if I put myself in that situation, and if I'm coaching up and I don't have a coaching title, so let's say I'm going to use the term Scrum Master. So I was hired as a Scrum Master and I'm coaching up and I'm having some success. Maybe the organization doesn't look at you as a coach. Maybe they were giving you opportunities and really impressed, but they're like, we need coaches. Maybe they saw the value that a coaching skills had, and they wanted to get someone with that title or whatever. So you could look at that. I could look at that. I always try to find three ways to look at a situation, or more than one way. So one way could be they didn't really appreciate your skills. And so that might drive you to look for other opportunities. Another way is they appreciated your skills. They just wanted to augment you with someone who's more experienced, and they wanted to double it up. And you could look at that as a mentoring opportunity and a growth opportunity that way. So I don't know what it is. I don't know what the company's intentions are. But what I would say is you might want to talk to some people and say, hey, is there a coaching opportunity for me? You may even talk to that coach and figure out how they framed your role to them. Maybe they're looking at it as peers or something like that. So I'm not disagreeing with you. What I'm saying is you could look at it that it's time to move on, and you could use that as an opportunity to then springboard to a coaching role. Absolutely, that's absolutely fair game. But I might do some digging. Remember, I was talking about radar earlier, and listening and perceiving what's being said and what's being done and what's not. And there's different ways to perceive that. So maybe ask some questions.
All right. So
How did that, before we, did that answer? I know there is no answer, but was that helpful? Did that help you a little bit?
Well, I wouldn't say help, but because I did look at it based on what you just said, like I need to look at it in different directions. Like, okay, maybe they just needed someone more experienced. But the fact is, the person was not more experienced, right? I was still asked to work with this person hand in hand. I was still asked to do even more things than what the person was doing. So I just, again, I did, of course, I did speak to my manager. I spoke to, I went up and spoke to the VP because I'm one who just approaches anybody, right?
Right.
And it was still the same. Oh, we didn't need an agile coach at the time, but when the need arose, we just went ahead and hired one. But I was doing the job, and I am still doing the job. So what does that make me? What does that make my presence? So I feel
there may be some, remember I was talking about listening to what's not said. So there, and you're digesting it. There may be some information there that you're not the right coach. You're not the right coach, or you're not appreciated for the skills you bring to the role. And that might be the way to read that. And then you may want to move on. I would say though, leverage as much as you can. Sometimes get selfish. If you're going to move on, get as many stories out of that experience in your current company as you can to help leverage you to move on to the next phase.
Right. I just wanted to bring that up just in case anybody else was going through something like that. Okay.
Well,
thank you.
No, you're welcome.
All right. Well, thank you very much. We're already 2 minutes to the time. I do want to extend thanks to Uncle Bob for sharing, for coming despite the situation you had. We truly appreciate your presence. And to everyone who's here, we also want to say thank you to you. I don't know, as we close, I don't know if can you guys just put in the chat what's just one thing you're taking out from today as we go into close. And I'm gonna keep talking, but please just put in the chat what's one thing you're gonna act on from today or from next week. We'd just like to see that and kind of just hold ourselves, accountable to that. Now,
and again, everyone, I apologize, everyone, and I hope you got something out of this. And if you want to reach out to me in email, you can contact me on LinkedIn. And if there's something burning that you didn't feel, you can reach out. But thanks for having me, and thanks for understanding.
Uncle Bob, would it be fine to share your email link? Your LinkedIn link with everyone's emails?
Yeah, I can do that.
Sure.
Great. And we're happy as well if you share your LinkedIn contact as well. Let's connect. Remember what Uncle Bob mentioned earlier. We can connect, and Uncle Bob just dropped his. Go ahead. I love what Mo said. He said, my takeaway, tune up my radar to observe environments. Thank you very much, everyone. So I'm sure you could see the screen right now. We're going to do this again. Tiffy, I'm not sure if you're going to share the link for us to register the next Agile Disciples meeting. And I'm not sure if someone would like to speak about that.
Can you share the next screen? Thank you.
Uncle Bob, we really, really, really appreciate this remarkable experience with you. Thank you.
And you guys know I really care about the disciples, and it was just a wonderful opportunity. So thank you for having me. And again, everyone, I'm sorry about being late. I hope you had some takeaways. I was a little distracted even during the talk, but everything's good. Don't worry about me. Everything's fine. I just have some things to take care of.
Thank you so much.
All right.
And
For coming. All right. Bye, Uncle Bob.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks.
All right.
So is Dr. Anya there or Dr. Fran? You want to tell us about the June event?
Hello. So this is Dr. Fran. So our next event is coming in June
29th, and this is gonna be about the good, the bad, and the ugly. We're gonna talk to our host, who is gonna be Saif Ahmed. Ahmed has a vast experience in the agile world, and he's gonna give us his life experience as an agilist. So we're gonna talk about the good side, what he's seen, the bad one, and the ugly part. Come with your questions, come ready to learn and ready to just be impacted by this session. So I'll be the host, and Dr. Ann also will be a co-host. So you guys are welcome, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys on the 29th. Thank you.
Yeah, so just to add a little to what Dr. Francisca said, so Coach Saif Ahmed has worked in multiple industries. So he has worked in a lot of places, and he'll be coming to share his experience. So he will be coming to tell us all the good things that happen as Agile coach, Scrum Master, what he learned, the bad things that happen, and all the ugly things. So you'll just be learning from everything. You'll be getting a lot of knowledge from his experience. And the link is in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doctor.
All
and like
right.
I always say, don't just look at this, because even if you're not in the agile space, it's something, there will always be something for you to take away. Really, really appreciate you. And thank you, guys. Chichi, over to you.
All right. Since our social media handles, please feel free to chat with us, to follow us, and interact with us. We're more than happy to answer any questions you have or mentor you. Please just connect with us. We're glad we're glad to hear from you. So we're already 2 minutes past the time. Want to say thank you very much for everyone joining in. Have a fantastic weekend, and enjoy your evening.
Thank you, Chichi. And from me, remember that we have a lot of contacts in the chat. You can always connect with other people in the chat already on their LinkedIn. We really appreciate your coming, and thanks to all the Agile Disciples coach. Thank you, Pamela. Thank you, Mo. And thank you to all those, Mohammed, all those that contributed to today's talk. Memoyemi, thank you so much.